blue handrails, and that you would refrain from the use of tobacco products. We do carry life preservers. They're under the front blue hatch covers. 31 of them up there, they're brand new, been there since the mid-1980s because we've never needed them. We've never had a Titanic type event. We're not expecting one this evening, and even if we had one, we would use the two-step life-saving method. Step number one is as the boat's going down, grab the little ones and hold them about chest high. Step number two, as the boat bottoms out, step off and walk to shore. The water is 3 to 4.5 feet deep. The music you're listening to as we pass through the River Center Mall Lagoon is from a group called Indian Fusion, Peruvian musicians specializing in wind, string, and percussion instruments. The River Center Mall opened in 1988. It contains about 1 million square feet of retail display area. It can house up to 120 vendors, and its anchor tenant is Macy's department store. It also houses a theater complex featuring 9 regular screens and one of the largest IMAX screens in the state of Texas. Daily, the IMAX plays a documentary entitled The Alamo Price of Freedom. If you are into history, it does play to excellent reviews. Folks, I'd like to take this opportunity to suggest to you that you may want to take a look at the back of your ticket stubs when you have a chance. Some, not all, will contain discount coupons for either downtown venues or riverside attractions. As we come out from underneath this little footbridge, if you look up to my right, you will see a bronze statue. The statue is the likeness of St. Anthony of Padua. He's the patron saint of the San Antonio River, the saint for whom the river was named. And he's also the patron saint of the country of Portugal. The statue was gifted to San Antonio by Portugal for our hemisphere. Now, if you look off the front of the boat up to my right and over the wall, you will see the steeple of St. Joseph's Catholic Church. Its cornerstone was laid in 1868. It is of German Gothic architecture. Its stained glass windows were imported from Munich, Germany, and all of its paintings were painted by Father Henry Peppercorn, its third pastor. Now, if you look at river level to my left, you will see a waterfall. One of many along the river that we call fish, fowl, and fauna, not only for their aesthetic beauty, but because waterfalls help to aerate the river water, which helps us provide the environment needed by our fish and our fowl. And when needed, city boats will pass all along the water park to pump river water on its greenery to keep it lush. One of the largest and most successful events ever held on our river was our hemisphere. Most of what you will see on your tour this afternoon was either done for the hemisphere or because of it, and the prosperity and popularity that event brought to the river. For those of you not familiar with the event, back in 1968, to celebrate San Antonio's 250th birthday, the city sponsored an international exposition called Hemisphere. It featured 33 international pavilions, 15 corporate pavilions, and occupied a 92-acre display site. It ran between April and October of 1968, attracting attracting 6.4 million visitors at a cost of $156 million. And it was San Antonio's introduction to the world as a top-tier hospitality destination. Now, as we come out from underneath the Market Street Bridge, if you look up to my left, you will see the Hilton Palacio del Rio Hotel. That building is one that was done for the hemisphere, and in my opinion, is probably the most unique building along our river because of its backstory. In 1966, the city approved a contract with an out-of-state firm to build the hotel with the stipulation that it be completed for our hemisphere. They began to advertise the hotel and book its rooms for the event. Well, by the spring of 1967, not only had the contractor not laid the first brick, they couldn't find him. Apparently he had gone out of business. One of our local builders, a company by the name of H.B. Zachary, petitioned the city for the contract, told the city that we will build you the hotel that you need, but it will be of modular structure. The first 4 floors will be built in place. All the remaining floors, those are the ones with the balconies, will be constructed off-site as modules. They will be placed in the hotel frame and basically plugged in. When those modules arrived, they were 100% complete, containing all of their furniture, carpets, lamps, light bulbs, utilities. Even the beds were made and towels were in the bathrooms. The building was built in a total of 202 working days from start to finish. That's less than 8 months. Earned itself a spot in the Guinness World Book of Records as the fastest built modular structure of its size in the world, opening on April the 4th, 1968, 2 days before the hemisphere, allowing all 500 of its rooms to be booked every night during the 6 months running of the event. We are now on a portion of the water park we call La Bolita, highest natural elevation, been occupied for centuries. Directly in front of the boat is the Arneson River Theater, named for Edwin P. Arneson, the chief engineer of the San Antonio Riverwalk water park construction project between 1939 and 1941. We have seating for about 800 to my left. To my right, we have the stage. If you look at the backstage, you will see 5 mounted bronze bells. Each one represents one of the 5 San Antonio missions. Center bell is engraved as a tribute to Robert H. Hugman, the concept architect of the Riverwalk. Today, back in the 1850s, German settlers built their homes in La Bolita. Spanish garrisoned their troops here in the 1700s. Prior to their arrival, it was occupied by Indians. Today, it is an artisan community. Its display area is over the wall to my left, and it contains a rather large number of stores, shops, and booths specializing in arts, crafts, paintings, hobbies, things of that nature. Now, if you look up to my right, the big white building is the Briscoe Western Art Museum. It contains art and artifacts dating from the arrival of the Spanish and Europeans in this part of the country to the present day. Today, San Antonio enjoys a rather robust and diversified economy. We are the 7th largest city in the United States, and we do enjoy a healthy growth rate. But back in the late 1800s and for most of the 1900s, our #1 industry was military, primarily because of the 5 major bases located here. Excuse me. The bridge we're passing under is part of that heritage. Unique because it is a 100% prefabricated iron bridge erected here in 1890, so the military could quickly cross the river with their artillery. Now, if you look off the front of the boat at river level to my right, you'll see what is the root of a ball cypress tree called Marriage Island. 274 weddings there last year. On the tip of the island, there is an iron sculpture. The sculpture is called Father Massenet's Table. The buildings behind Marriage Island is the Hotel Contessa. Father Massenet's Table was placed on the tip of Marriage Island in 1991 to commemorate the 300th anniversary of Father Damien Massenet's arrival on the river with his missionaries. They said a mass, blessed the river, and then named it for the saint whose feast day was June the 13th, 1691, the date that they arrived. And that was St. Anthony of Padua, which is why we have the San Antonio River. In the early 1800s, before these bridges were built, this section of the river was known as Old Mill Crossing. Nate Lewis had an old grain mill here, and prior to the flood control system, this part of the river was very shallow with hard-packed clay bottom, allowing wagoners to cross without having to unload and reload their cargo. So they just kind of put the words together and called it Old Mill Crossing. If you look up to my right, the building with all the balconies is the West End Hotel. It opened in 1999, and it has earned the reputation to be the location of choice to recharge and relax because it is on the quiet side of our river. When you compare what we have here to the other side, you'll know what I mean. Now, if you look all the way up to my left, the building flying the American flag, that is the Tower Life Building. It opened in 1929. It is 404 feet high, has 30 stories, and is of neo-Gothic architecture. If you look all the way up to its top 2 floors, notice the gargoyles, animal-like creatures extending from each of the building's corners, uniquely engineered into the roof's drainage system, which allows excess rainwater to drain from the roofs through the mouths of the gargoyles. Now, if you come down to the bottom of the second stories, below each of the pillars, you will see grotesques. They are in pairs, one woman and one man. If the woman is smiling, the man has a horrible look on his face. Moving to the next set where the woman is frowning and the man is smiling. Now, I'm not sure the backstory on that one, but I gotta believe a good chance is probably either something to do with wedded bliss or maybe last month's credit card bills. Now, if you look up to my right, that big red building that you see is a fine example of San Antonio's penchant of finding new uses for old buildings. It opened in 1919 as our San Antonio Drug Company. It has been declared a historic site, which means it cannot be destroyed. So it has been renovated twice. The last time opening in 1995 as the Homewood Suites Hotel. Now, as we come out from underneath the bridge, if you look directly in front of the boat and up, the red building with the green tile roof is the Bexar County Courthouse. It opened in 1896. It is the longest continuous operating courthouse in the state of Texas. If you look up to my right, the big green building is our International Center. Now, that opened in 1968 as the public library. It was converted in 1998 and today houses the NAFTA business offices of the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Now, if you look directly in front of the boat, you'll see a little green light on the bridge. That tells us that floodgate number 4 that is buried in the river bottom is fully seeded and it's safe for us to pass over it. As we pass over it, if you look at river level to my right or left, and the bridgehead, you can see the steel wear planes that show you how floodgate number 4 rises from the river bottom like a drawbridge to protect this end of the river bed from flooding. The natural flow of the river proceeds to my left. It runs 138 miles southeast down to the Guadalupe River, and then they both go out to the Gulf of Mexico. In September of 1921, San Antonio suffered a catastrophic flood. Water crested 9 feet above these bridges, 50 were known dead, millions of dollars damage was done. A flood control system was needed. It was designed and built between 1923 and 1929, consisting of a flood control channel and 4 floodgates. We are in the flood control channel. It is 700 feet long, connecting the north channel in front of the boat to the south channel behind the boat. When we are threatened with heavy rain and possible flooding, to protect the riverbed from flooding, we will close the floodgates in front of both ends. There are 2 additional floodgates in the system, one in the north channel and one in the south channel. The position of those 2 floodgates determines the depth of the water in this part of the river. We would lower those floodgates, which lowers the water level in this part of the river, which increases its flow. That allows the excess rainwater to run harmlessly down this portion of the river all the way to the Gulf of Mexico while protecting the riverbed because the floodgates allow the heavy rainwater to bypass it. In the 85 years since the system has been in operation, there has not been a flood on the river. Now, if you look at river level to my right, you can see the Drury Plaza Hotel. It gets its name from Main Plaza, which is to my left. Now, today, Main Plaza is just a city park. But if you will look up the steps of the city park as we pass up the steps of the park to my left, you will see the twin towers of San Fernando Cathedral. It's one of the oldest churches in the United States. And back in 1731, it served as the anchor building for Main Plaza as it became the first municipality founded in Texas, taking the name San Antonio. The source of the river is a spring located about 4 miles north of our position, fed by our Edwards Aquifer, which is the primary source of water for San Antonio and most of South Texas. If you look at river level to my right, you can see a walkway. It is 611 feet long, and it allows pedestrians to traverse the entire water park without having to go to street level. It was gifted to the city by the Drury Plaza Hotel. Now, if you look directly in front of the boat, that big tree you see is a 350-year-old bald cypress tree. It's one of the oldest and largest trees on the river. It's also called a sniper tree, because back at the First Battle of Bayhair in December of 1835, a Mexican soldier hiding in that tree shot and killed Ben Milam, one of the leaders of the Texas Revolution. Now, directly in front of the boat, the big green thing you see is floodgate number 3. It's the final component of our flood control system. It is a pocket design gate. The floodgate is stored above the passage. It is chain driven, weighs about 3 tons, takes about 15 minutes to lower, but when in place, protects this end of the river bed from flooding. Now, if you look up to my right, you can see the Bella restaurant sign. If you look directly behind the sign at the wall, you will see 2 trees growing through its wall. One is a box acre, the other is a fig tree. That is remnant damage from our 1921 flood when this part of the river was totally destroyed. Those trees have been grown there the best part of 90 years. If you look up to my right, you can see the Esquire Tavern, unique among bars on the river because they were the oldest. They opened in 1933, shortly after Prohibition was repealed. They also claim to have the longest wooden bar in the state of Texas at 102 feet. If you look up to my left, the big yellow building opened in 1921 as our CPS building. Like the Homewood Suites on the other side of the river, it also has been declared a historic site and renovated twice. The last time opening in 1999 is the Drury Inn and Suites Hotel, because our growing hospitality industry required more hotel rooms at river level. Now, as we come out from underneath this bridge, if you look up to my right, you will see the Aztec Theater. The Aztec opened in 1926 as a silent movie house. It is of Mayan architecture. It is the last remaining Aztec-themed theater in the state of Texas. It also has been declared a historic site and 100% renovated. Now, if you look directly in front of the boat, the little footbridge that you see is nicknamed the Selena Bridge. Jennifer Lopez had a scene filmed on that bridge that was used in the movie Selena. If you look up to my right, the yellow and the red building is the Macara Hotel and Spa. Between 1901 and 1923, it was the site of the All Frank Saddlery Company, manufacturers of leather horse saddles and harnesses. Today, samples of their products are on display in the hotel's lobby. If you look up to my left, the big white building is the Omni La Mancion Hotel. It opened in 1853 as the St. Mary's School for Boys, which evolved to the St. Mary's Law School, and then later was converted to St. Mary's University. When they outgrew the building in the mid-1960s, they moved the campus to West San Antonio, and one of their graduates, an attorney by the name of Pat Kennedy, bought the building, renovated it, and opened it as the Mancion Del Rey Hotel. Now, as we come up from underneath this bridge, if you folks will look all the way up to my left, to the top of the wall that appears as we come out from under the bridge, you will see an optical illusion of a freestanding wall. Look all the way up to the very top of the wall as we come out from under the bridge. All the way up to the very top of the wall. All the way up to the very top. That is the Nix Hospital. It opened in 1930 as the first full-service hospital of San Antonio. It was also the first fully air-conditioned hospital in the country. Today you can go in there, get anything from a Band-Aid to open heart surgery. We're now on a portion of the water park I call it Restaurant Central, because from this point south we have restaurants on both sides of the river going up 3 levels. if you look directly in front of the boat, the big white building is the Hyatt Regency Hotel. That opened in 1981. But before it was built, its design was shadow tested because the building stands directly in front of the Alamo. And the city fathers would not allow its shadow to deny the Alamo the setting sun. So they limited its height to 16 stories. Passing around the bend, if you look at river level to my left, you will see two sets of double doors. Signage over those doors in Spanish reads Passage to the Alamo. That is an atrium providing a direct passage from the Riverwalk to Alamo Square and the Alamo Museum. Now if you look up to my right, the big brown building you see is the Casino Club. It opened in 1927 as a German social club. Today its top 4 floors are private apartments, while the bottom 2 are shops and restaurants. We are now on a portion of a water park called River Square. Renovated in 1972, it's become the most popular portion of our park, featuring entertainment and dining venues on both sides of the river going up 3 levels, all offering inside and outside services. Far too many for us to name individually as we pass, so we just put them into a group, folks, and say, bon appetit, there's got to be something out here that you like. If you look at river level to my right, you can see a number of the vendors that are headquartered in River Square, offering for sale just about anything any visitor might care to purchase while at our water park.